Hey, how's it going? It's Sam Frost here, back with some more free digital marketing advice. Now, in today's video, we're looking at one of the most common questions I get asked by business owners who are new to digital marketing, and that's why is it actually important to be on the first page of Google? So long story short, the reason it's important to be on the first page of Google for your business for a given keyword or set of keywords is that basically the further down the Google search results you are, the less likely people are to click on your result. So the first three positions in Google take the absolute lion's share of the sort of clicks and impressions and activity. So if you're in the first three positions, and obviously ideally number one, you're going to get the lion's share of search activity, of clicks and impressions on your listing and impressions on your brand. And the exact percentage of how much click share those first three positions get tends to vary depending on who you listen to, but long story short, the percentage doesn't really matter. It is the vast majority of activity. And then as you move down the first page, basically the number of clicks drop off substantially. And then when you move on to the second page, it's kind of like being in no man's land to some extent. Very few people will actually bother searching beyond the first page in Google. Very few people kind of bother going beyond the first 3 or 4, maybe 5 listings on Google anyway. So long story short, if you're not on the first page of Google, then you're getting only a minuscule percentage of the traffic and click potential that would come from being on the first page. And especially if you were, say, to rank in the first 3 positions, especially up at number 1. So that's why it's so important to try and rank on the first page in Google. Most people aren't going to bother clicking through multiple pages on Google. If you're down in position 40, 50, 60, whatever, the chances of someone actually clicking through and getting to that 4th, 5th, 6th page of results, then looking and finding your listing and clicking it and coming to your site, they're just so much smaller than if you were in position 1 or 2 or 3. So, or at the very least on the first page of Google. So that's why it's so important to try and get on the first page. Now, it's not necessarily easy to do, especially if you're trying to rank for competitive keywords in competitive industries, but hopefully that makes it clear why it's so important to try and do this. Really, the absolute lion's share, the sort of king's share of the search activity goes to that first page, especially those top 3 results. So that's really where you want to be. It's a little bit like, saying why do businesses set up shop in high foot traffic areas? Well, it's because they've got high foot traffic. It's more likely someone's going to walk past a shop and say, oh, well, this looks relevant to me, I'm going to go in and browse. Whereas if you build a store out in the middle of nowhere, okay, some people might make it out there, they might chance buy, but the chances of them actually, coming in it's not guaranteed. Even if they drive past your shop in the middle of nowhere, they may not come in, much like if you rank on page 5 of Google, someone might click through to page 5, they're not going to necessarily click on your listing, and the number of people actually seeing your listing is just so much smaller. So yeah, you want to try and be on the first page for all your keywords in Google. Obviously, that's not always going to happen, and it may be better in some instances to be in a lower position for a much higher search volume keyword than it is to be right at the top of Google for something that nobody ever searches. This is something that I tell to the business owners if they're looking to engage, say, an SEO company, and the SEO company is saying, well, look, we can guarantee you rank number 1 for a given keyword, but we're going to pick what that keyword is, and you wind up ranking number 1 for some super obscure thing that no one ever searches, no one's ever heard of, and they can say, hey, we've ranked you number 1, we've delivered on our promise, but actually no one searches it, whereas you may have been better sitting at the bottom of page 1, maybe even on page 2 or 3 for something that a lot of people search, that's really relevant to your business, and that drives a lot more volume. So there is, more complexity than just saying try to be on the first page and try to be on the top 3, ideally number 1 on the first page. But as a rule of thumb, that's where you want to sit. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Leave a comment if you've got any questions or concerns. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.